You know, the more I think about it, I'm not really sure that Sableye is a scary enough Pokemon for a Halloween video. He's pretty small, not very threatening, even cute in the right light. I don't even know why he's a ghost type, to be honest. Like, the dark type I get, but he doesn't really look paranormal, and even the dex entries feel kind of fabricated. Like, you're telling me that this guy steals your spirit? Yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not feeling Halloween this year. Sableye's story depicts how far a Pokemon can get on typing alone. He's the first ghost Pokemon that we meet in Hoenn encountered with only a single gym badge. His Ghost Dark combo is renowned for having exactly 0 weaknesses. We couldn't do any better if we tried. Seriously, no notes. In fact, picking up Sableye in Granite Cave ensures a guaranteed win against the upcoming gym leader, Brawly, whose fighting types can't even touch him. But choosing to train a Sableye is making a deal with the devil. Everything with Sableye is smooth sailing for about 5 minutes. Defeating Brawly still leaves 80% of the game left, and Sableye isn't getting any stronger. He peaked in high school, and we're going to be running with a revolting base stat total of 380 for the entire game. How's the weather up there? Onyx? Yeah, we're that bad. We already learned with Banette that a Ghost Dark type gets you pretty far in Hoenn, but picture Banette without its awesome attack stat. Now picture Banette without even its usable special attack stat. That's Sableye. I neglected this Pokemon 2 years ago out of utter fear, but now he's back with a vengeance, and now he's here to drag us into another dimension. The 3rd dimension. Okay, but for real. We ran a pretty similar Pokemon through Hoenn 2 years ago, so let's mix it up with an ORAS run. But how will things look different for us in Generation 6? Well, firstly, that whole no weaknesses thing, our claim to fame, that's out the window, because we've got fairy types to deal with. But this actually is like not a factor whatsoever. I'm pretty sure that there are exactly 0 bosses in a whole game that have a fairy type on their team. It's just a small asterisk on our perfect type combo. Offensively, we actually have a slight boon, as Ghost and Dark are no longer resisted by Steel, a much more common type in Hoenn. Second is that Sableye's availability actually gets pushed back to after the 2nd badge, as you need the Mach Bike to access the lower floors of Granite Cave where Sableye are located, gatekeeping him from one of the only fights he actually performs well in. This won't be a problem for our run, but it is worth noting. The physical special Split is here now, but that's really neither here nor there for Sableye either. We're basically a mixed attacker anyway with 1 physical type and 1 special type. Again, not much change here. The main difference in Generation 6 is the movesets we're going to be seeing. No more are the shallow kiddie pools of Generation 3. The main reason I haven't done a run through Generation 6 is because it's about from this point on where basically every Pokemon can learn almost any move they would want to. Combo with infinite TMs, this is probably the deepest move pool we've ever seen in this series. For this reason, no Pokemon from Gen 6 onward is really that bad. But a lot of these new moves are just fluff for a Pokemon like Sableye. You can give him all the stab and coverage moves that you want, or even setup moves like Hone Claws and Calm Mind, but when we're working off a stat spread like this, and abilities like this, we're still going to be a pushover come endgame. Oh, hey Mega Sableye, didn't see you there. Yes, of course Mega Sableye solves all these problems, but we're not going to be using him today, because where's the fun in that? I doubt I'll ever use Megas in this series. I don't really use them in general, but I really don't like what Mega Sableye stands for in particular. Sableye is a goblin. He doesn't rely on raw power, and his low stat spread reflects that. Instead, the goblin relies on trickery and deception. He is a master of his terrain and a formidable foe when he has lured you into his element. Adding a Mega Evolution with inflated stats and a moveset with a ton of powerful stab options isn't really what Sableye is all about. When I see a Pokemon with early availability and a stat spread like this, logic tells me to turn Sableye into a sort of early game utility Pokemon, not a defensive juggernaut. Sableye's identity reflects the sort of devious tactics that the Ghost and Dark types are known for, and utility support can be just as useful as combat abilities, just ask our friend Ledian. Sure, this little guy is weak, but if you take him lightly, that's when Sableye becomes a serious threat. Of course we're not changing typing, but let's take a closer look at our abilities. Keen Eye is basically a non-factor in most fights, but I like what we're going for. I believe that Sableye would have a keen eye for shiny things. And at least it's not Stall, which is an outright burden to bear. Seriously, what did Sableye do to deserve this? If your Sableye has this ability, then its speed stat is effectively 0, reducing the BST even further to 330. I don't know if this is a translation error or what, but there's no way we can work with this. We don't even get moves to play off it like Payback. And you know what? I'm so pissed off that we're going to be getting rid of both abilities because if we're being so serious right now, neither of them are good enough to redeem this greedy little goblin. Sableye's whole thing is that he loves shiny things, right? I think I can come up with 2 great abilities that fit the bill even better and cement him into the early game utility role that we're going to be going for. The first is Pickup. Seriously, how did they miss this one? Like, of course our little munchkin is going to be finding us nuggets and other rare finds along our journey. Obviously, it won't help much in battle, and our toes are going to be stepped on a little by Zigzagoon, who can also pick up and is available earlier, so let's up the ante even more with Compound Eyes. I mean, look at him. What do you think he sees through those gemstones? I think that Compound Eyes gives Sableye an incredible niche, as the only other Hoenn Pokemon who has it is the unevolved Nincada, and nobody wants to carry around an unevolved Pokemon. Compound Eyes is an amazing ability for utility Pokemon, increasing the accuracy of all the user's moves by 30%. The most iconic wielder of this ability is undoubtedly Butterfree, boosting the accuracy of moves like Sleep Powder to nearly 100%, making Butterfree a fantastic catching Pokemon. Sableye would be the only non-bug Pokemon ever to get Compound Eyes, leading to some exciting in-battle shenanigans that we'll get to in a bit, but this ability also has a secondary effect outside of battle, increasing the chances of held items on wild Pokemon. Again, this aligns with Sableye's MO perfectly, sniffing out shiny items from a mile away. This is the main reason I'm running through Gen 6 today. Compound Eyes is kinda wasted in Gen 3 because a lot of the cool items that we know in the modern era didn't exist yet. All you can really get from wild Pokemon here are berries, a type boosting item, or maybe a nugget, and that's just not as fun. Trust me, we're going to be making the most of the items offered in Gen 6 Hoenn. This Halloween, we're scrounging up all the loot we can get our hands on. And that only leaves the Learn set. Again, it may seem like we've got a lot on offer here, but high base power moves don't really play to our strength. Sableye is a goblin, and so I'd like to mix in a bit more utility to play off our new tools. Now, the movesets in Gen 6 onward are some real laundry lists, so I'm only going to talk about the moves that I'm actually changing. Leer is fine at level 1, but I will ditch Scratch and bring down Fury Swipes from level 11. I see this as a slight upgrade, especially since we're already seeing some love from Compound Eyes, boosting its accuracy from 85 to 100. In place of Fury Swipes at level 11, I'm gonna bring in Hypnosis. I never use this move since it's only 60% accurate, which just isn't reliable enough compared to something like Sleep Powder, but I've always wanted this move to be good. With Compound Eyes, it's now boosted to 78% accuracy, which still isn't amazing, but it's slightly better than Sleep Powder now, a solid status move for a ghost type to have right out of the gate. Skipping ahead to level 19, I'm gonna swap out Feint Attack for Thief. I know it's an early TM anyway, but it's a move so perfect that I just can't resist adding it to our natural learn set, because what good is Compound Eyes if we can't steal the items that we're sniffing out? Note that Thief is boosted to 60 base power in Gen 6 as well, so it's also a solid stab option for the mid game. I'm also going to bring in Fling at level 24. I think that this will put in some honest work considering we do get stab from it, and I like moves that play off held items for us. We usually learn Punishment here, but I don't know, we're just not a very punishing Pokemon in my opinion, so I'm happy to drop it. The next change won't be until level 34, where I'm actually going to drop Zen Headbutt. I know, it's a pretty great coverage move that would be patched by Compound Eyes, but raw damage isn't exactly what Sableye is looking for, and I think I'd rather bring in Hex, a ghost move that doubles in power if the target has a status, playing off incredibly with the aforementioned Hypnosis, as well as the Will-O-Wisp or even Toxic TMs that are going to be available around this point, both of which are going to be boosted by Compound Eyes, by the way. Now let's jump to level 41, where we'll push back Foul Play and bring in Parting Shot, a very tricky move that lowers the target's attack stats while Sableye switches out. A cheeky little move for a Pokemon who's gonna need to get himself to safety in a fight he can't win. Next is Quash at 44. This move forces the target to move last, but obviously it wastes our turn using Quash, so it's 100% useless in singles and is a TM anyway, so let's bring in an equally silly move in Switcheroo, which swaps held items with the target. I don't think we'll really use this either, seeing as we can't obtain notable combo items like the Flame or Toxic Orbs in ORAS, but I don't know, it seemed like a good fit for a Dark type who plays off items. And I think we can bring back Foul Play as a much better ultimate move than Mean Look. In the Hoenn remakes, this move just doesn't have the niche that it used to, seeing as there are 0 roaming legendaries in ORAS. I thought about sneaking False Swipe into our learn set too, but that's a very early infinite TM in Rustboro City, so it's just not needed. Again, it's a Gen 6 moveset. We've already got most of what we need, just a bit of spice here and there to shake things up. And that's a wrap on all the changes I'd make to Sableye in Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. Let's see how we'll fare in the unsuspecting Hoenn region. As always, I play with these rules, but we'll be adding no Mega Evolution and no Pokemon Ami on top of them since they can just kinda steamroll the game, and I'd like to make things interesting. Alright, that's it then. Sableye, let's see how much loot we can score. There must be a con like him in every dark corner of the region. He's the guy who can get it for ya. Tiny mushrooms, a bag of bright powder if that's your thing, bottle of moo moo milk to celebrate your kid's high school graduation. Damn near anything within reason. Yes sir, he's a regular Lily Cove department store. I'd like you to meet Red the Sableye, our dubious little dwarf from parts unknown. I can tell he means business with his serious nature. The main difference right off the hop is his Compound Eyes ability, which again will increase the accuracy of his moves by 30% and increase the chance of held items on wild Pokemon. This little guy is built for looting, but I'm not so sure about his battling skill. How far can a crook like this make it in the big leagues? I guess we'll find out. So obviously things go pretty smoothly on these first couple routes as the game isn't accommodated for us to have a ghost type this early and not much can even touch us. But I will point out the accuracy boost from Compound Eyes being a nice little boon already, since we don't have to worry about Fury Swipes missing anymore, putting it a slight cut above moves like Scratch. I figure I'd point this out now since I doubt we'll see much use from this move as soon as we hit the Rock Gym. But before we get to Rustboro, we're met by a new Pokemon in Petalburg Woods. Here, we run into Haywood, the level 6 Cascoon. Yeah, you heard right. Level 6. Impressed? Yeah, I thought so. You probably didn't think Wurmple could evolve so early, but Haywood peaked in high school. Yes sir, he had it all. Starting quarterback, prom king, and valedictorian. There's just one problem there. High school was 30 years ago. Nowadays, you can find Haywood at the football field still hoping to go pro or DJing the school dance playing hits like Boom Boom Pow and the Harlem Shake. Yeah, it's a bad look. Haywood, this isn't you, buddy. Come with us. It's time to move on. You haven't even begun to peak. Time to show the world that the best is still ahead of you. That means it's time for our first gym fight, but let's put quotation marks around the word fight because Roxanne just isn't much of a challenge. Our stats are poor, but they're still a tier above anything we're seeing at this point in the game. We've also got Hypnosis now, which is about 80% accurate with Compound Eyes, making it a pretty surefire answer to any Pokemon we can outspeed, which is everything this early. To put the nail in the coffin, Nightshade does set damage, so it ignores her using Harden and is enough to 3-shot basically any Pokemon. A pretty clean win, but I can't give too many points. We really shouldn't have Ghost types this early, let alone a single stage one. And let's make it back to back with Brawly right after, because you already know how this one goes. His whole team of fighting types can barely touch us, and his ace Makuhita simply chooses not to. I mean, I guess I see why they withheld Sableye until later in the remakes, but man, taking away a free win like this really did a number on him. Already 2 badges down. After that, we drop anchor in Slateport City, where we clear Team Aqua out of the Oceanic Museum, but not before nabbing a major score, the Thief TM from this grunt. Even though it's in our level up moveset now, the ability to delete and relearn this move on command really opens up our potential as a late game bounty hunter and is still our best stab option for the early to mid game, so this is a really nice pickup. On our way out of Slateport, we're stopped by a contest star named Lycia who offers a grand prize to a winner of one of her contests. Red and I aren't really the type for this sort of thing, and that's when we meet Rita, a cosplaying Pikachu and contest extraordinaire. But don't let her feminine charm fool you, this gal is cunning and quick-witted. She can charm the wallet out of any guy she wants. Rita's willing to play along on our way to the top, but she wants a cut, and we could use a little more allure in our gang. Rita, you're in. Next up is the Route 110 rival fight, and already opposing Pokemon are starting to catch up to us in strength. With a Hypnosis and a few Thieves, we can take care of his lead Shroomish, but we don't have much of an answer to the incoming Slugma of all things. We actually miss 2 Hypnoses even with Compound Eyes and get burned from an Ember. Eventually we do put it to sleep and get Rita in safely to steal the show with a couple of dazzling Electro Balls. But her show stealing is short-lived because in comes the towering Marsh Stomp, who again counters our crew of Pipsqueaks pretty well, taking out Rita with a couple of Mud Shots. I send out the newly evolved Haywood to clean up the mess, landing a Poison Powder and stalling his way to an ugly win. I can't help but feel like this is a taste of what's to come in the late game. If we can barely handle middle stage Pokemon, we're gonna need some more firepower to compete down the road. Luckily, we limp into Mauville City where fortune turns our way. Here we can nab ourselves a Mach Bike, which opens up a couple new areas for us, including the lower floors of Granite Cave. It's here where we uncover another new teammate, Brooks the Makuhita. Why did I wait until after Brawly to search here? Because Brooks is a special Makuhita that can only appear in dust clouds on the lower floors. She's packing her signature ability, Sheer Force, powering up moves with secondary effects at the cost of those secondary effects. Seems like a downgrade to me, say her gutsy and thick-fatted friends, but Brooks never believed them. Where we're going, we don't need guts, we need muscle. Red and I know that Brooks packs a very powerful ability that we would love to do business with. If we'd like what we see, maybe there's a little something for you down the road. Brooks, this feels like the start of a beautiful friendship. Back to Mauville and it's time for Watson, but we've got a couple new tricks up our sleeve. Against his lead Magnemite, we outspeed and drop a Hypnosis before getting off a couple power-up punches, obtained via TM from the Mauville department store. Half price if you know a guy. With this, our attack increases by 1 stage every time we land it, so we're at +2 by the time Magnemite falls. Voltorb is next, who outspeeds and hits a Volt Switch, which does some chip, but also plays our trap card, a Cell Battery, looted from the +1 Route 110 to boost our attack when hit by an electric move, allowing us to land a huge blow on his ace Magneton as it takes the field. At this point, we're at +4 attack, and there's just no coming back for Watson, as we're also packing Priority Shadow Sneak to seal the deal. That felt pretty clean, and it was nice to see our first out-of-battle pull from Compound Eyes, especially for such a niche item. Nice find, Red. Let's keep moving. After that, we tunnel through the scorching fiery path. I pity any Pokemon that has to live in this hellhole. Here, we run into a lowly Slugma named Andy. It's hard to imagine a life as bleak as his, but little Andy vows to never give up hope. Yes, his stats are terrible. Yes, he doesn't evolve until level 39. Yes, his entire family died in a car accident when he was 7, but there's just gotta be something out there for him. Something better than this. I admit, I feel for the kid. You could say I liked Andy the moment I laid eyes on him. The life of thievery isn't much, but it's better than this. I decide to do what's right and bring him along, free of charge. Next we'll jump to this Archie fight at Mount Chimney. He sends out his lead Mightyena, and once again we're getting outsped, but we brought a lunch in the form of a Persimberry to shake off his swagger and put him to sleep. From there, we just start power-up punching, and it's basically over from there, considering the incoming Sharpedo is also weak to fighting, and by the time Golbat comes in, we're already boosted enough to steamroll him with Shadow Sneak. Pretty clean fight against some fully evolved Pokemon. On our way down the hill, we're stopped by our final team member, a little spoink named Tommy. Tommy has never been the most academically gifted, at least by psychic type standards, and his parents have always known he'd need a little bit of extra help to keep up. They told him that he will always have to work harder than the other kids, but that doesn't mean they love him any less. Maybe with a couple new friends at his side, we can show him that there's more to life than learning from a book. I think a life of crime and thievery would be a really good influence on little guy. Welcome aboard. With our team complete, it's time to take on Gym Leader Flannery, who leads with Slugma. Not a very threatening Pokemon, but I am afraid of Flame Body, so I lead with Haywood to chip away at it with Poison Powder. We're borrowing the wide lens, so this is a pretty sure hit as Flannery sets out the sun. Sensing danger, I pivot into Andy to resist the incoming Overheat, which still does a ton of damage, but the little fella hangs on and wins the mirror match with an Ancient Power. This brings in Numel, so I tag Haywood back in on a neutral Earth Power. I know we outspeed, so I get off a light screen to reduce her special attacks, allowing us to live a Lava Plume as the sun finally fades. This means that Red finally makes an appearance, getting a free switch in as Numel sets the sun back up. Since we can actually outspeed a baby camel, we get this thing to sleep and start punching as much as we can. After a bit of back and forth, we take Numel out at +3 attack, only taking 1 Lava Plume in the process. Flannery's final Pokemon, Torkoal, takes the field, who has an insane amount of physical bulk. Even at +3 attack, this thing will be very tough to crack. Anyway, I throw a Heartstone at him for most of his health as she wastes her turn setting the sun up, sealing our win. That was a big play from Fling there. Grabbing a Heartstone from Aeron back in Granite Cave was no problem, essentially giving us a one-time 100 base power stab dark move. I'm glad that Gen 6 gives us the freedom to play with our moveset like this, because that was pretty clutch. After that, we keep rolling down to Norman for badge number 5, but we've got a clear advantage here. Being a ghost type, we're immune to all of his moves except Feint Attack, which isn't too strong. Slacking stats may be legendary, and he does put us to sleep a lot with Yawn, but he's just delaying the inevitable. Once we have enough power-up punches under our belt, we can snowball enough to two-shot his whole team for another tidy win. We've really gotten our money's worth out of that power-up punch TM, but I feel like the difficulty curve is about to catch up to us. We're already seeing most Pokemon outspeed us, and they definitely outbulk us. We're not going to have the time to set up the +6 in the late game, so we'll have to get more creative to survive and supply our team with some new toys to support us. But standing in our way is this Brendan fight at the Weather Institute, and I decide this is actually Haywood's fight. See, Red scored him a black sludge from some Grimer in the Fiery Path, which restores a bit of the user's health every turn if the holder is a poison type, which Haywood is. This new toy can replace his old wide lens, as he won't be needing that anymore, as we've now obtained the Toxic TM, a much needed upgrade to Poison Powder, as poison types cannot miss this move in Gen 6 onward. Poison Pokemon are a sitting duck, as this means that Venoshock is at double power, a whopping 130, which can make clean work of Brendan's entire team. With a little bit of help from Moonlight sprinkled in for some healing, Haywood clears this fight with no trouble, a noticeable improvement from our last rival fight. Great work, buddy. Look how much you've grown. After that, we reach Fortree City, but Red's still in the giving mood. We venture just a little bit further to Route 120 to nab us a Life Orb from an unsuspecting Absol. This item boosts the power of all attacks by 30% at the cost of a bit of the user's HP every time they dish one out. Any of our Pokemon can make use of this, but our main player is going to be our girl Brooks, as it stacks wondrously with her Sheer Force ability, as this ability inexplicably removes the Life Orb recoil. I can't really explain why this is, but we'll take it. Another major upgrade to one of our most valuable team members. Okay, now we take on Winona, and we add a bit of Razzle Dazzle with Rita leading off. She's just learned Discharge, which one-shots her lead Swellow, bringing out her ace Altaria right away. That's our cue to Volt Switch into Haywood on a neutral Earthquake. This is a losing matchup on paper, but this Altaria actually doesn't know a flying type attack, meaning that Haywood can actually stall it out with Toxic and Moonlight. That Black Sludge is a miracle worker, as Dustox is a surprisingly bulky Pokemon. When the timing is right, I make the switch into Red as Altaria goes for Roost. But Red has a new toy of his own, dishing out his new move, Hex, a move that doubles in power when a Pokemon is statused, knocking Altaria into poison range, finishing it off. 2 Pokemon remain, starting with Skarmory, who isn't fast enough to outspeed, meaning it goes right to sleep with Hypnosis. We've taken our wide lens back now that Haywood doesn't need it, making it pretty reliably accurate, a solid 85.8%. Not only that, but we've also triggered the boost from Hex, which does a number to the bulky bird. It does wake up on turn 2 to get off a sand attack, but with the wide lens equipped, I still like our odds with Compound Eyes, and Red proves me right, putting it back to sleep and finishing it off. Last is Pelipper, another slow flying type that we can outspeed and repeat the cycle for another solid win. I'm really glad to see the synergy with Hypnosis and Hex. You really don't see Hex combo with Sleep much since it's not a permanent status, usually it's Burn, Paralysis, or Poison, but we've got some real chemistry going here. The damage output was great too, as I was a little worried about relying on our special attack, but Red came through, no notes. With that win, we can now use the Fly HM, and so the Hoenn region is our oyster. We first land on Route 107 where flocks of Pelipper roost. From here, we can easily grab a lucky egg to boost the holder's experience by 50%. I know the XP share gives us plenty of XP, and we are still playing with level caps, but it's worth noting that poor Brooks is stuck in the fluctuating experience group, meaning that she needs about 50% more XP as the rest of our team, so it's nice to have this so she can keep up. Our next stop is the Safari Zone on our way to Lilycove City, where we can scope out some of Rita's uncultured brethren, one of which is holding a Light Ball, an item that outright doubles a Pikachu's attack stats. If Rita is looking to stay young, and she is, then she'll definitely need one of these to keep up. And finally, we swing by Mount Pyre. None of these fights are noteworthy, but we do pick up the Shadow Ball and Will-O-Wisp TMs. I'm not really sure if we'll make use out of either of these since Hypnosis has been so reliable, but a 100% accurate burn chance does sound tempting, so maybe we will mix it up down the road. Next up is the final rival fight in Lily Cove City. I forget if this fight is still optional in the remix or not, but I do want access to the Lily Cove department store, and Brendan is standing in our way. He leads with Swellow and encounter with Rita, who shows us her gratitude, flexing the power of her new light ball, one-shotting it with a volt switch. I pivot into red as Swampert enters and go for Hypnosis, but we do whiff and get hit with a Muddy Water. The next one lands and we start chipping away with Hexes. Eventually, Swampert does wake up, but opts for Protect and we can eventually take it out with one more. The rest of his team is more of the same, as Magcargo is slower than us and doesn't have much special bulk, and Breloom can't even touch us, allowing Red to lock this one down. Sableye isn't the fastest Pokemon, but it's good to remember that Hoenn is full of medium to slow Mons, so it's not like we're going to be getting outsped for the rest of the game. When we do get to go first, it's good to see we can take full advantage. And to the victor go the spoils, as we can now clear out the department store, scoring some noteworthy TMs including Reflect and Light Screen. Not the most amazing moves, except we can hightail it to Route 111 to scout some Boltoy, known for holding the coveted Light Clay, which extends the duration of screens to 8 turns. Our Pokemon team isn't especially bulky, so we're gonna need some support like this to keep our crew alive. After that, it's off to Moss Deep City to take on Tate and Liza, but this just isn't a fight. They've only got 2 Pokemon, and once Red gets a Hypnosis off, it's basically 2-on-1. Yeah, we're seeing some of the Gen 6 slog here, as this fight would have been a lot more interesting in Gen 3. Oh well, what can you do other than take the badge and move on? That means our next point of interest is the final Archie fight in the Seafloor Cavern, a fight that's actually more challenging in Gen 6. I give the nod to our pal Tommy against his lead Mightyena and get off a Power Gem for about half damage. I try going for Reflect next turn but get hard red with a taunt to block it, so I cut my losses and finish it off. Muck enters the field only to miss a Gunk Shot and then get one-shot by a Psyshock, which brings out Crobat. He hits a hard Acrobatics, but we do hang on and finally set up a Reflect, which is all I ever wanted to do anyway. Archie has a monster waiting in the back and we're gonna need to be ready for it. Another Acrobatics fails to kill thanks to Reflect, and we retaliate with another Psyshock for the knockout. In comes his ace, the Strongjaw Mega Sharpedo, and I finally swap in Red to lock it down. He gets hit with the Crunch, but we can survive too thanks to Tommy's Reflect. Once we get our chance, we connect on the Hypnosis to buy us some time. Now we can bust out our new toy, Parting Shot, to get out a dodge while dropping Sharpedo's attack stats, ensuring a safe entry for none other than Rita to do the honors, sizzling the Shark with a Thunderbolt to get us a pretty tidy win against a very scary Pokemon. But we've actually got bigger fish to fry if you can believe it, as we've got a hot date with Primal Kyogre, actually a very tough fight if you're not just going to use the Master Ball. This thing is an absolute Leviathan, but at the end of the day, it is a wild Pokemon, meaning it will use any of its 4 moves at random, and we get a lucky break as it goes for Aqua Ring, giving Red the opening he needs to put the Titan to sleep long enough for Rita to zap it with 2 more Thunderbolts to bring balance back to the Hoenn region. Great work, team. But apparently there's no reward for saving the nation, so we take our anger out on Wallace, Hoenn's final gym leader. His most annoying Pokemon is actually his lead Lovedus because it could outspeed and infatuate Red to slow our rhythm. It takes a couple turns, but we do eventually put it to sleep, but I can't risk dilly-dallying with Parting Shot, so instead it's a hard switch to Rita to take the helm. Rita has a couple new toys this time around, the first being Charge Beam, learned via TM. Not the strongest move, but its main draw is its 50% chance to boost our special attack by 1 upon connecting, which it does, taking Lovedus out. In comes Whiscash to counter it, but Rita is one step ahead, also packing Grass Knot via TM, a quad effective move that earns her another one-hit KO. From there, Rita is unleashed as a +1 boost from Charge Beam is truly nothing to sneeze at, considering her special attack is already doubled from the Light Ball. It's just a few more Thunderbolts and Rita has successfully stamped our ticket to the Pokemon League, with a little help from Red of course. One final note as we make our preparations is that Compound Eyes makes farming Heart Scales off Wild Lovedisc essentially free, as these have a 50% chance of holding the item already. It's safe to say that we've really gotten our money's worth out of Compound Eyes and Thief, but I think we're finally ready to put it to bed for a stronger move in these final fights. Speaking of final fights, here comes Wally at Victory Road. He leads with Altaria, who we can outspeed and put to sleep right off the hop, but honestly, Wally's packing a pretty diverse team and I'm not sure we have a clean answer. But here comes Andy the Magcargo, and he's got something to say about it. Wally actually switches out Altaria to heal it with Natural Cure, but the Parting Shot still nerfs the incoming Roselia. One turn is all our boy needs to turn this fight on its head, and Red's bought him just that, as Andy cracks off a Shell Smash, dropping his defenses to crank up his attack stats and speed. And that's the fight. Andy starts dishing out special attacks left and right, and Wally's Pokemon drop one after the other. His last Pokemon is the intimidating Mega Gallade, but Andy does not back down, unloading a Stab Overheat to scorch Wally's entire team. What a comeback for the little snail that could. He's just punched our ticket to the Pokemon League. Honestly, our journey's been pretty steady the whole way, and we haven't really had much pushback. Basically, our whole team is packing their own personal weapon that was stolen specifically for them, and so we've been able to fire on all cylinders. But of course, we'd be nothing without the man at the helm, the supplier, the plug, Red the Sableye, who's not only stolen all of the loot in the region, but also stolen our hearts, and we couldn't have gotten here without him. I'm still running Hypnosis over Will-O-Wisp, but we do have the TM if we need it, and we finally dropped Thief for Foul Play, which should do solid damage since it uses our target's attack stat and not ours. So, we've come all this way. Does Red have any tricks left in his back pocket? I guess we'll have to see. Let's do this. First up is Sydney, a fellow Dark-type user. He leads with his intimidating Mightyena to drop our attack, but this was never Red's fight anyway. Mightyena whiffs a Sucker Punch and takes a snooze as Red tags in our day one, Haywood the Dustox, looking to show how high he can fly. Haywood's picked up a new trick in the form of Quiver Dance. This is a very potent status move, and Haywood only needs one of them to click into another gear. Haywood, in his heyday, is a beautiful thing as we watch in awe as he fires off one Bug Buzz after another as the former deadbeat torches Sydney's entire team. We're picking up steam, but we're far from done. One down. Second is Phoebe, a master of ghost types, to which we're no stranger. She kicks things off with a Dusclops, and as usual, Red enters the fray. Unfortunately for Phoebe, all of Hoenn's ghost types are ridiculously slow, meaning that they're easy pickings for our Sableye. We've seen solid damage from Hex thus far, but we haven't seen it used super effectively like it is here. None of her Pokemon can survive a super effective Hex if they're statused, and her first two Pokemon learned that the hard way. However, she's actually got two Bayonet who can't be put to sleep due to their Insomnia ability, but our new toy Foul Play is their perfect foil as we can use their sky-high attack stat against them and hit them super effectively to one-shot them both. The fully evolved Dusknoir is last, but it's still slow and weak to ghosts, so it's no threat. This fight felt perfectly built for our Sableye build, and I love to see it. So far, we've turned the Elite Four into target practice. Let's keep it up. Glacia comes in third, and she'll be a bit tougher. Her Pokemon are fast enough to outspeed us, but her lead Glalie only sets up Hail before taking a nap. Frostlass takes the field and gets off a quick Confuse Ray. We do break through, but whiff on the Hypnosis, meaning we have to take a fully accurate Blizzard on the following turn. A Hypnosis does land the next turn, and we break through Confusion again to get off a Parting Shot to get Red out of danger. And when Red sets him up, Andy knocks him down, taking his free Shell Smash as he takes the field and proceeding to turn up the heat, scorching the rest of Glacia's team with a combo of Flamethrower and Ancient Power. It's looking like we've got an answer for everything the league can throw at us, and Red's newfound role as the ultimate deep buffer is extremely useful in every situation. We're in the home stretch now, let's keep moving. Last for the Elite Four is Drake, and he'll be our toughest matchup. We don't even have a Water type with Ice Beam on our team, let alone an Ice or Fairy type, but we'll see what Red's got cooking. His lead Altaria is our opening, but I've learned from the Wally fight not to put it to sleep, or Drake will likely switch out to play off Natural Cure. Instead, we drop a raw Parting Shot into Tommy as we'll need a bit of support here. Tommy gets off one of his patented light screens boosted by the Light Clay, giving us 8 turns of special defensive goodness. From here, it's Rita's show, and without an Eviolite, she'll need all the bulk she can get. Asking a Pikachu in a 2-2 to defeat an army of fully evolved dragons is a tall order, but Rita isn't flinching, even after a critical hit Aerial Ace on switch-in. Rita starts the show firing off as many charge beams as she can, hoping to win the coin toss to get her special attack as high as possible. The first one rolls tails as Rita shakes off a Dragon Pulse. The second one comes up heads, boosting her to +1 and knocking Altaria into healing range. The third charge beam rolls tails, again missing out on the boost. We've only got one more try before Altaria gets taken out and the bigger threats come in, but we do get one more roll in our favor with one more boost. +2 will have to do as in comes Flygon. Backed into a corner, Rita turns on the charm, unleashing her secret weapon, the super effective Draining Kiss. But with the power of the Light Ball, this fight very quickly becomes a full-on makeout sesh, as Draining Kiss is enough to one-shot every single one of Drake's dragons. That was absolutely stunning. Rita the Pikachu has just Frenched her way to the top of the Elite Four, earning us a date with a Pokemon champion. One fight left, let's leave it all out there. Finally, the ultimate test, Champion Steven, and I know this one won't be easy. His lead Skarmory outspeeds but only goes for spikes, allowing Red to get the first lick in, and he can take it down with a couple hexes to start us off on the right foot. Aggron comes out second, but we can actually outspeed this thing, so it's not really a threat. Again, we put it right to sleep and attack its vulnerable special defense to take it down. 2 down, and those are 2 of his most threatening Pokemon since they both have Sturdy, which is buffed in the remakes. Claydol is next, who can't do much to us, but it can throw a wrench in our plans with screens as it's a step quicker and gets off Reflect. This is one of the good things about being a mixed attacker though, as we do have an answer on both sides of the physical special split, this time opting for Hex to take it out. Armaldo enters the field, but that's another slow Pokemon that we can take advantage of. However, it does wake up right away on turn 2 and hits a hard X-Scissor for almost half our health. We can repeat our 1-2 punch to finish it off, but Red is losing steam. Second to last is Cradily, and again, Steven's slow Pokemon work against him. We chip away at it, but I know that there's a Pokemon that can outspeed and one-shot most of our team waiting in the back. Red has to set this up just right, but Cradily also wakes up on turn 2 and gets off a Giga Drain, knocking us down to just 34 health. We're still faster though, so one last time, Red lands the Compound Eyes boosted Hypnosis and with a final bow, leaves the stage with a parting shot. Great work, buddy. And who better to take us home than Andy, who had hope in his heart since the day we met him. One last time, he smashes his shell to buff his stats, but again, Cradily wakes up on turn 2 and lands a Confuse Ray to make it interesting. We've got to put our faith in Andy here, and he does not let us down, finishing Cradily with a Flamethrower. And last is Steven's ultimate Pokemon, the Tough Claws Mega Metagross, but Andy the Meg Cargo looks this titan of a Pokemon dead in the eye and says no. Breaking through confusion to fire off one last Flamethrower, crowning us champions of the Hoenn region. We've done it. Red has helped me accomplish my dream of becoming the Pokemon champion. And who says crime doesn't pay, as we've earned ourselves all the coin we can carry along our journey. But as I look at our underdog team, I realize it was never about making money. It was about making friends along the way, and so Red and I make a decision. I decide to donate all of our earnings to charity, which Red so graciously deposits on my behalf. He says that he has a special bank overseas that's great for big donations like this. Honestly, he really has become such an honest guy for a former crook. I think what's so great about him is how trustworthy he is, knowing that when the chips are down, I can always count on him to do the right thing. What a great friend. This was actually a really fun run. I love how different Sableye felt to play with Compound Eyes Hypnosis, but it still felt like Sableye to me, whittling the opponent down with a lot of below-the-belt tactics to fell much stronger Pokemon. I was a bit skeptical about playing through Gen 6. I know some fights are easier than if we were to play, say, Emerald, but some fights are probably tougher too, like when we face Mega Evolved Pokemon. But not every run has to be the most challenging, some of them can just be fun, because this build had to be played through Gen 6. So many items we used, Life Orb, Black Sludge, Light Clay, Cell Battery, even ones we didn't use like Iron Ball didn't exist in Gen 3. If you look up wild Pokemon by held item in Gen 3 Hoenn, you get nothing but berries and nuggets. I wanted to do a Compound Eyes run, and Gen 6 was the best option, and it was a nice change. But let me know what you thought. Gens 3 to 5 will still probably be my go-to, but there are still a few situations I can think of where it is best to play through Gen 6 and beyond. Sometimes the infinite TMs and pretty broken moves like Power Up Punch can carry through a lot of fights, and I will still have to keep that in mind. I probably could have stomped a lot more of the game with Hone Claws or Calm Mind, seeing as the Hone Claws TM is available as soon as Slateport City. So yeah, Gen 6 was a mixed bag, but Sableye, you did a great job. As always, let me know what Pokemon you guys want to see next. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Happy Halloween.